Hi, and welcome everybody to another week of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Monday, April the 22nd, and we're discussing NBA playoff action today. A trio of game twos that we're going to discuss with myself, yours truly, Ross Benjamin, and my guest today, Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com, Mr. Chip Chirimbes from Gamblers.
Unbelievable. What a week.
Yeah, it's been a great week for me. But everybody, I don't know. You guys tell me, Doug, what kind of week has it been for you?
Well, NBA wasn't as kind to me as it's been to you. But I outsmarted myself. In fact, I liked the play. I had the Clippers for the first half, which I gave out on the show the other day. And so then I saw the Kawhi Leonard results. I thought, well, hey, Dallas can take advantage of that. Of course, in order to take advantage of it, you have to actually show up. Okay, so that's something different. So that didn't work out. But hey, not the end of the world. Just a couple of games that didn't go my way. Get it turned around. Starting for me, it'll be tomorrow, which I'll explain in terms of the NBA. But NHL still going strong on that. Had another 6-unit best bet winner there, and had a winning weekend of baseball. So for me, no complaints.
All right. Sounds good. Mr. Doug Upstone, you could find all of his picks over at DocSports.com. That's DocSports.com. Doug's the only guy on our podcast, on our show, and on our channel that isn't, I should say, a handicapper over at our sponsor site, gamblersworld.net. The grandfather clause is in effect. And boy, none of us like to hear the grandfather clause, do we? Anyway, Chipper, speaking of the grandfather clause, I don't know, man. It's been a long time since Chip has when he began in his business till now. And boy, oh boy, you know what's great about this business, Chip? We don't have to run a 4.40 anymore.
No.
As long as our mind is still good,
yeah,
we're just as good as we are when we were younger, if not better.
Ross, I've been doing this a long time, but I have never in my, handicapping career given out 3 game of the years within 8 days. And that's what happened on the closing day of the NBA when we had the don't make sense winner when Houston was favored over the Clippers. Yeah. Do or die game Friday with New Orleans against Oklahoma City, and coming back yesterday with Milwaukee, which I told you a week ago I had 3 game of the year winners in 8 days. And I'm feeling so great because you know how I like the big games, and I just think they're lining up right now in the NBA playoffs. And Major League Baseball hasn't been so bad either. Our megabuck plays have hit 4 of the last 6. So, I feel like we're in sync right now, Ross, and we're happy to be doing this and talking to you every chance we get. I get Doug's influence, and things seem to be falling into sync right now.
Yeah, Doug's influence is always a good influence. Just ask his kids. Anyway, all right, boys. Well, let's get right to it. I mean, we got 3 games to discuss today. Well, let me talk about myself just for a second, if you guys don't mind. NBA postseason since 2022, all documented, folks, on several sites. So if you want verification, I could certainly email you. 84-50 with my NBA postseason picks since 2022. That's 63%. That's not bad, folks. 7-2 this year. Coming off a 2-0 day yesterday, as I had the Celtics game under. I barely stood under, but it was a winner. And then I also had the New Orleans Pelicans plus 8.5. And for probably 95% of the game, they were covering, and they came through in a narrow 2-point defeat. So it was a good day for me, and it's been a great run for me since the end of the NBA regular season and into the playoffs now. I'm on a 18-6 run in the NBA. Ooh. So NBA totals 9-1 the last 10 since March 19th. College basketball and NBA combined 40-19, folks, 68%. So things I can't complain. How's that? All right. So in any event, let's get to our games, and let's start with you, Doug. The Magic and the Cavs. Cleveland is a 5-point favorite to total 203.5. Boy, oh boy, what a boring game Game 1 was. And speaking of not showing up, Orlando, I don't know if they got off the bus as they lost that game 97-83. What happens here, Doug?
Well, this one, they look like a team that hadn't been in the postseason for 4 years and had a complete turnover of roster. That's what they look like. shot a season low 32.6% Ross. They missed at least a half a dozen breakaway layups off turnovers, out rebounded by 14, and missed 11 of 30 free throws. Okay, that is a perfect recipe for defeat. Cleveland in the first quarter, especially, they couldn't miss any of their threes. They did cool off, but Donovan Mitchell, he looked like he's all the way back. 30 points, showed a great deal of leadership. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, let's see here, to borrow from Dick Vitale, they were Windex men, okay, in that particular game. They looked really good. And, you know, Cleveland looks at home, they look like they're going to be tough to beat. Who stops Mitchell? Okay, who can rebound with the tandem of Mobley and Allen? That's Orlando's problem, and especially at home. Now, I'll be honest, I really, really wanted to make a case for Orlando in this one. Okay. And if I end up being wrong on this, well, then that's just the way it goes. But, you know, they were coming off a horrible shooting game, as I mentioned. But again, who stops Mitchell? Who's going to be able to rebound? Plus, I cannot ignore the fact that playoff home favorites, 3.5 to 9.5, like the Cavs, playing in a game 2, 24-5 against the spread. I'm reluctantly going to take Cleveland, but I think it's the right side no matter what.
They're definitely, if you look at what happened in game 1, it's going to take an abrupt turnaround for Orlando to make a case for them. But you never know. It's playoff basketball.
Right.
You know, you brought up a good point on this 24-5 angle in game 2, and that goes back the last 5 postseasons. Yep. It sort of contradicts the zigzag theory, you know. Because again, you were talking about game 2 angles. We're talking about home teams. And I would say, I mean, it doesn't contradict it completely because you could lose game 1 at home, right? But I would say more times than not, the zigzag theory did not hold up in this particular instance. And it's certainly a good point. Doug, Chipper, when you see a team like Orlando play the way they did in game 1 and were so anemic offensively, it takes a lot of guts to come back with them in game 2. But as we well know, you know what? That's why it's sports betting. And
well,
go ahead, Chip.
No, I was going to say that my good friend Larry Ness's past has always said a team never is as bad as they've looked the previous game, and no team is really as good as they've looked the previous game. And that would draw me toward Orlando here. You know, here's a team, the most improved team in the NBA against the number, I think, this year, and certainly played good, solid basketball the entire season. Like Doug said, that, you know, a little torn between this one going one way or the other after that hard performance by the Magic. But, you know, there is sometimes you try and find little reasons to take a side that maybe have nothing to do with the outcome. But Orlando, though they had a losing record on the road this year, 18-24, they had a winning record against the points. And it was just the opposite with Cleveland. Had a winning record at home, but a losing record against the points. So that trend would tell me that Orlando could get in under the number here, and that's the way I would lean. I don't particularly think this is a strong play. Mitchell could always be the difference. I mean, the difference between this Cavaliers team when he's out there and when he's not out there is like night and day. So, you know, I lean toward Orlando right here.
All right. Chip has a lean toward Orlando. Our official pick from Doug Upstone is on the Cleveland Cavs -5. I'm not using this game. I got the other 2 games as part of my premium package tonight, but I didn't use this game. I will tell you, if I have a lean in this game, it would be toward going over the total. And I know that sounds risky when you look at the fact game 1 was 97-83. But there's some things that happen in game 1 that I think are highly improbable to happen again in game 2. Number 1, this is the lowest total that Cleveland has had all year. All right. And really? Think about this. Game 1, the total was 207. Right now we're looking at, it was down to 202.5 earlier. It's now up to 203 to anywhere to up to 204. So it's not uncommon for the odds makers to make an abrupt adjustment, whether it be on the point spread or the total, based on their perception of, or I should say, their predicted perception of what the public witnessed in game 1, if that makes sense. So they opened this at 203. It went down to 202.5. And now, like I said, between 203 and 204. Here's the thing. Orlando shot 32.6% in game one. It's only the 7th time all year they shot less than 40%. In addition, that was the first time they shot under 40% in 18 games. So I'm going to go out on a limb, Chip, and say they're going to shoot better than 40% here. Here's the other thing. Doug brought it up. 19 out of 30 from the free throw line. 30 getting in a free throw line 30 times in a loss is a lot. But then again, you look at the regular season matchups in game one, Orlando's averaging 28 free throw attempts per game against Cleveland. So it really, when you look at it, that 30 free throw attempts in game one was not an aberration. It's something that's been a regular process, even though I think they only met 4 times this year. So I see them approaching that number or being right around that number. Orlando's not a great free throw shooting team. It's 75% in a year, which isn't very good by NBA standards. That would be very good in college basketball, but not the NBA. But they only shot, like Doug again alluded to, 19 out of 30, which is 63%. I'm going to go out on a limb again, Chip, and say they're not going to shoot under 70% for the free throw line. And so I'm going to have a small lean on the over here, over the 203.5 or 203. Actually, you can get it at right now. Is my lean. But again, our official pick from Mr. Upstone is on the Cleveland Cavaliers minus the 5. Chipper, the New York basketball Knicks. They're opened up as a 5-point favorite. They're now up to 6. Total is 205. Opened at, the total is 205. It opened at 209.5. So you know what that tells me a little bit? Joel Embiid we saw him tweak his knee in game one. We saw him come back in the second half, and kudos to him for gutting it out. And the bottom line is I didn't think he looked healthy when I saw him in the play-in game they won against Miami. Okay. And then he tweaks his knee. He comes back in the second half, and he was nowhere near as aggressive as he was in the first half when he was dominant, actually, up until that point. That tells me that the odds makers are saying, well, you know what? He's not going to be anywhere near 100%, and there's a likelihood even he might not last through the game. That's just my perception, because I find it hard to believe that a total that opened at 209.5 is bet down to 205. There's got to be a reason. And it's not money induced, but I don't want to take away your thunder. So you tell me.
It may be because of the loss of Embiid's offensive potential in any game, but there's also a defensive factor there too, which I think the Knicks can take advantage of. The Knicks are a very explosive team. I mean, they have guys that come up with 40 points. A number of different guys that do it on this team, and I don't know. I think this game. Is destined to go over the total. I know they had played 4 straight unders until the last game out, which went over, and I think this would go over. But my instincts when I see this game, and anytime I see this Philadelphia team listed with a line on it, and there's a circle, and Embiid's health. I mean, if he's not the MVP, who is? They're 31-8 while he's in the lineup, and they're 17 games under 500 when he's out. I mean, he doesn't play enough, of course, to garner the award, but there's sort of like some players that are just more valuable to their team. Maybe not the most outstanding player in the league, but valuable player. Embiid is certainly it, and his health has a lot to do with this game here. I just think the Knicks, Brunson and the Knicks, they're playing with so much confidence. I'm watching them, and Philadelphia closes the gap in game one, and then bang, they come out and they hit a 3-pointer, and they're pounding their chest every time down the floor. I'm afraid to take the Knicks here, Ross, because like you with the Buffalo Bills, the Knicks are the team in sports. I can do the football Giants, the baseball, it doesn't matter. But when it comes to the Knicks, there's a block there. And I have trouble giving them out here, and I'd have trouble taking the 76ers here. So I'm going to play this game over the total. 205 is a big drop from where they were. Yep. And, maybe I'm getting value. And, I don't always trust that word, because sometimes I think that's the bookmaker's way of sucking you in, thinking you're getting value. But I'm going to play over 205.
Yeah, if you consider the fact that Jalen Brunson did not have a good game in game one, you know,
No.
he was 8 for 26 from the floor, which is, I think, 30%. And I'll go out on a limb, Chipper, and say he's going to have a better game in game two. Boy, I'm taking a lot of
Hey,
chances.
is Tim Carver on the show today? I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask because nobody was as good as stating the obvious as Tim McCarver. So I just wondered.
Yeah, no, the Captain Obvious, they call me before the commercial even came out. Anyway, Doug, what's your thoughts here on this match?
Well, okay, I think I have an answer to your question as to why the total has dropped so much and why the line has gone up. Is I saw this morning, in fact, it had an impact on me. Tyrese Maxey was not at the shoot around today. And with that, he has an illness. So I was all ready to take Philadelphia with the point today, but then I see that, and if a guy's sick and he's not coming to shoot around, that means he's in bed, I would imagine. Okay, he's certainly not feeling well. They're trying to, do whatever they give him, the chicken soup and whatever else we need to get him to feel better. But that's 33 points. Okay, right now that was scored on Saturday. That is up in the air. So that's a little bit. So for me,
didn't Michael Jordan score 56 points at the Garden when he had the flu?
Yes, well,
these guys can come from nowhere sometimes.
I'm going to go out on a limb again and say Michael Jordan was a better player than Tyrese Maxey. Anyway, go ahead, Doug.
Yes, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it wasn't the flu.
Right. Yeah. You come up with the wildest things.
So that one threw me off. So I wanted to take Philadelphia. I can't take Philadelphia if I don't know if Maxey's going to play and be, a little bit beat up. So instead, I'm going to go with Josh Hart, for an all-around effort. Now, this guy we know is a tremendous rebounder. And lately, if you look at his numbers, he either scores more points and has fewer assists or vice versa. Okay. So trying to break down a prop thing. So I decided to go with the combo prop, which is points, rebounds, and assists. And that right now that is 29.5, and it's plus 100 on that number. And the last 10 times that Hart has played 40 or more minutes, 9 times he has gone over that total. I expect him. He played 42 the other night. He's played a bunch of 40s recently. I expect him to play the 40, and I expect him to go over the total of 29.5 for points, rebounds, and assists.
Very good. I mean, and I like it because, the pundit will say, look, come on, Doug. He made 5 3-pointers the other night, and they were challenging him to shoot the 3, and he shot over his head. But I would say, Josh Hart and Chip, I'm interested to hear because I know you follow the Knicks. I'm interested to hear your opinion. We overuse that term glue guy, but if there's a textbook definition of glue guy, Josh Hart certainly fits the bill for the Knicks. And, not only himself knocking down. Go ahead, Chip. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the Knicks have a unique combination of 3 Wildcats that are all national champions from Villanova, and they were there more than once. And these guys know how to win. And I think that's a key factor in what Thibodeau's done with this team. I mean, there's a whole different mindset now than there was 4 or 5 years ago with this team. I said it before the playoffs, and I don't know if I discussed it with you guys, but I caught some heat for this remark. But I can make a strong case. The Knicks are missing their best player, but they're a better team right now without Julius Randle than with him. And the reason I say that is it seems like when Julius Randle's in the lineup, although he puts up these impressive statistics, Chip, the ball gets stuck a lot with him. The ball gets stuck in his hands where he's holding on to the ball for 8, 9, 10 seconds of the shot clock, looking and obviously has no intent of dishing the ball elsewhere unless he absolutely can't. And then when he does, he leaves somebody in a desperate situation at the end of the shot clock. So I just think the Knicks share the ball a hell of a lot better without him in the lineup. That's just me. I think
I agree. I'll chime. I agree with you. I think the one thing that has come into play is it's become well accepted that Julius Randle is a scorer, not a shooter. And so that's a part of the fundamental difference. So he'll get his points, but sometimes the volume of shots, okay, is much higher on certain nights than others. And that does that. Like I said, the ball sticks. People tend to stand around. And with having a point guard now with Julian Brunson, and I do believe going forward, this will be Julian Brunson. This will be his team.
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be his team. Okay, going forward. And so Randall's going to have to be the one to adjust coming back.
You know,
I think that'll be a difference maker.
Go ahead, Chip. Chipper, go ahead.
I think he's freezing up a little.
I know they share the ball better without Randall in the lineup, without a doubt, and the ball moves better. And I probably think they're even a little better defensively, though missing the number of points that he's able to give you on any given night. I thought, they actually had a chance with him in the lineup, and now I'm beginning to believe they still have a chance because of the way they bonded together. And sometimes less is more, like you said, and the ball's being shared more often. So I think they might be a better team, like you said, even without their best player.
Yeah, obviously, I think a lot of people underrated the supporting cast. I mean, look at you got to remember, OG Anunoby was out of the lineup for quite a long time. What's his I mean, I think the Knicks are like 21-3 with him in the lineup this year since that trade. I mean, another guy who knocked down a few threes in the game, but I mean, his value was on the defensive end of the floor where he could shut guys down completely. And I don't know. I like this Knicks team. I like them to get to the conference final. Again, it'll be a stretch to think that they get beat Boston, but you never know. But I really, really look forward to tonight's game. So our official pick from Mr. Chirimbes is he likes the Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers over 205. Doug, once again, he likes the Cleveland Cavaliers minus the 5 over Orlando Magic. And all right, let me get to my game, and then we'll wrap things up. And it comes in the game between the Lakers in Denver, and Denver wins again, game 1 of the series. And I say wins again because they've been on a roll in the postseason over the last 2 years. And they open up a 1-0 lead. And here's the thing, a real oddity, guys. I like the total in this game. It's 224. And I always been a proponent and always preached, you should always, if you like a total, whether it be in college basketball or the NBA, you should put a major emphasis on how teams do from the free throw line. Not only what percentage they hit, but sometimes even more importantly, the frequency in which they get there. And Denver has faced the Lakers 4 times this season. They had 6, 7, 7, and 4 free throw attempts in those 4 games. Yet they won them all. You know what I mean? They beat them each and every time. And they only averaged 6 free throw attempts per game. Why am I bringing this up? Because I'm looking at the total. And when a team isn't getting to the free throw line and scoring with the clock stopped, you have to factor that in. The last 3 times these teams have played in Denver, all 3 have gone under the total. Average of 218 points per game. Dating back to last year, Denver 6-1 to the under in their last 7 postseason games. 206.5 points per game. Denver's played 8 games against Pacific Division teams this season at home, including against the Lakers, 8-0 to the under. I know I'm going to be in a minority here because I look at the splits on this game, and it's over 80% of the bettors have now wagered on the over. Over 80% of the money that has been wagered on the total has gone toward the over. And yet we've seen very little line movement in regards to where the opening number was to where it is now. I believe it opened at 223.5. It's 224. When you're talking about those types of splits, that's not a lot. That's very little line movement. And it doesn't appear that the odds makers or sports books feel that the money that's come, the overwhelming money that's come in on the over is sharp money. Now, that's part of the reason, but the other reasons I just alluded to, I think, are more pertinent to this play, and I'm going to go Lakers Denver under 224. Doug?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, the Lakers, I mean, they can't get out of their way against Denver. 9 consecutive losses. They've failed to cover the last 6. It just seems like it's just a bad matchup. That just the Lakers don't have what it takes, and especially in the fourth quarter. It's like one team, in this case, Denver, knows they're going to win. The Lakers are uncertain and are hoping to win. I mean, that 6 free throws, I mean, that's crazy and win a game by 11 points. But here's the key, though. They only committed 4 turnovers in that game. So if you look at it, they won by 8. The turnover difference in the game was +8 favoring Denver. That's just who Denver is. If you watch the end of that game, the Lakers literally were physically and seemingly mentally exhausted at the end of that game, and that Denver just pulled that one away. I'm going to still stick with Denver here. The number, is unchanged at 7. That works for me. And as I mentioned earlier, home favorites, game 2, from 3.5 to 9.5, 24-5 against the spread. We got Denver, who knows how to beat the Lakers. I think it continues.
Very good. I had the winning side in this game right up at gamblersworld.net right now. I also had the winning side in the Knicks and Philadelphia game as well. So I'm going to reserve comment on the side. I will say this, that if the Lakers are going to stay in this game tonight or even have a chance to win, they're going to need more from their supporting cast beyond Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and they didn't get that in game 1, Chip. And Chipper is, I believe, Chipper, are you there or are you frozen? Yeah, well, Chipper's all frozen up. So in any event, maybe you got it back. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Your comment, Chip, on what I just said and what your take is on it.
I just don't see the Lakers being able to put up a lot of points. I mean, LeBron didn't take a shot until there were under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in the opening game. This Denver just seems to have the dominance, like Doug said, 9 straight wins over the Lakers, 6 straight covers. I'm having a tough spot picking a total on this one. I'll go with you guys on the under here. I'm not a big totals guy, but I have a strong play on the side tonight in this game. So I'm going to post the total under and just log on, follow the buy links, became an 8-play winner. I know we're doing basketball here, Ross, but I have to say that on April 22nd, it was Major League Baseball, the senior circuit, which threw out the very first pitch in Major League Baseball history, 1876.
Yeah,
give it to you. April 22nd.
For you youngsters out there, the senior circuit is the National League. So Chip is a wealth of information when it comes in nostalgia.
It only cost me 50 cents to get into that game.
And you had season tickets for the New York Giants who were $7 a ticket back then. Anyway. All right, guys, always a pleasure. And again, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. And while you are there and you subscribe, or if you have subscribed, we appreciate you if you have. We also would recommend you go into your YouTube settings and click on the alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. You'll be notified immediately upon any of our podcasts going up on our channel. And right now it's 5 times a week. Also, don't forget to give us a like. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put in to bringing you a quality podcast each and every day. All right, Chipper and Doug will be back with us on Thursday. We'll be discussing more NBA plays at that time. Doug will be talking about props. He's going to give us a couple props on Thursday. Me and Chipper will either have a winning side or a winning total. Until then, for Chip Chirimbes, Doug Upstone, and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.